Kagan will now face Senate confirmation and a possible battle. Joining us now, one of the people who is trying to become one of California's Senate votes in the next session, Republican Carly Fiorina. Good morning.
Good morning, Ed. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Yourself?
I'm well, thank you.
All right. If you were on the Senate Judiciary Committee and you were considering someone who has never been a judge for the Supreme Court, how might you vote?
Well, I think there is much about her record or lack thereof that I'm deeply troubled by. And in the role of advise and consent, I would want to know a whole lot more. One, you mentioned her lack of experience, and while it's not a requirement to be a judge, certainly having sat as a judge would give her experience around the judicial temperament. But secondly, I'm terribly troubled by the fact that she seems to have an activist mindset. While she was dean of the law school at Harvard, she fought to keep military recruiters off campus. She was, in other words, putting her own agenda for gay rights above the law of the land. And that's deeply troubling to me. And finally, this is a woman who apparently doesn't have a lot of written record supporting her opinion. So, you know, there's a lot to understand here, but let me say my initial reaction was not positive.
President Obama made a lot of the fact that she would be the fourth woman on the court, the third to currently serve on the court. You obviously shattered the glass ceiling, I should say, in becoming the CEO of Hewlett-Packard some years ago. So you can probably identify with the hope for progress for the gender, but is it that important in this day and age? Well,
look, gender, race, nothing should trump putting the most qualified people on the bench. And, you know, while it's, I guess, wonderful that she's a woman, that is trumped by the fact that she may not be qualified to serve, and she might well be an activist judge as opposed to someone who would faithfully interpret the Constitution. So I think the most important things in picking a Supreme Court nominee are not race or gender, but what are their qualifications and what would be their judicial temperament.
Carly Fiorina, thank you for joining us. We'll be talking to you more, I hope, ahead of the primary election, and then perhaps if you come out on top in the fall before you shake on Barbara Boxer.
It'll be my pleasure, Ed. Thanks for having me this morning.
Thank you. Carly Fiorina joining us here on KFBK.